Yes, of course, with great pleasure, we welcome you back to the program. Thanks for staying with us. Today, our attention is focused on a feeling that we all experience, an emotion, a reaction that, if not recognized and tamed, and is capable of causing harm to everyone around us. Anger and its management is our topic today.
Yes, John. Anger as an emotional reaction which can unleash upon the family many physical and psychological disturbances and diseases, we have been told. And to help us understand better the scope and the effect of anger and how we can manage it, or how we must learn to manage it, is Dr. Timi Oyebode. She's a seasoned, passionate, and certified professional counselor with over 70 years experience. We shall get to see her in a short while.
Yeah, so many talking points this week, Helen. First, I would like to remind us of the deadline for our currency, the change in our currency, which is the middle of December.
It looks like that nothing is happening. People,
Helen, go to your backyard, dig up all your old Naira notes and go change.
You're very wicked, you know. You're going to send some people looking for where I live. I have nothing hidden anywhere. But seriously, I hope we're all aware, as the day passes, we get closer to that closing point.
Yeah,
and there's no need keeping any money after that date, So,
absolutely.
So don't do the Nigerian thing. Don't keep procrastinating. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Do it right now.
Yeah,
okay?
You're correct.
And we're told that the ASU, the lecturers, have been paid their full salary for the month of November.
Yeah, but that's not everything. That's not all of the outstanding.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's still a little problem there. So, well, anyway.
It's not Uhuru yet, right?
Yeah. I was even going to talk about, the difficulty I had this morning getting to the studio. Because unannounced, without warning, the whole of Lagos Island was under, lock and key.
But give it to Lagos. Sometimes when things like this are happening, when things are happening, they send words across.
Yeah,
so maybe you haven't been that observant. I was caught up in that too.
Yeah, a lot of people are complaining that they never got any warning, so it couldn't have been just me.
Okay. And to compound that is also the fuel crisis.
The fuel crisis,
the filling station traffic.
Yep.
Joining this one, it's Lagos is really, really a no-go area today. So if you're stepping out, please ensure you have an idea of the routes that you could take, to avoid this traffic.
I like your
battle.
route. That's the American entry.
Okay, route.
Route is the British entry.
Hey, John, the motivational, okay, thank you for that correction.
All right, Helen.
Any other thing that we need to roll our minds with?
Yeah, of course. Interesting news that the Abuja-Kaduna train service will resume on the 5th of December. Well, I hope that it's not just resuming. I hope that all the safety precautions will be taken to make.
You got the look on my face when you say interesting news. Yeah, it's a good thing that that service is being restored.
But what about security?
So that we don't go back.
Yeah,
so that lives are not lost again. You can't imagine the difficulty that a lot of the people whose family members were abducted, went through, and those who died. We must not go there again.
Yeah,
we must not.
I hope so.
So security must be beefed up before that service, is restored.
Right.
Okay. A wrong expression of anger can affect relationships and the ability to maximize our potentials. You agree with me? And so it is very important that we take a critical look at anger and its management. And to join us right about now is a professional, Dr. Timi Oyebode. She's a founder and head counselor, Attitude Development International, an organization that is focused on promoting professional counseling and counseling education in Africa. She's a seasoned and passionate and certified professional counselor with over 70 years experience. Dr. Timi is an associate chartered mediator and conciliator with the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators, ICMC.
I wonder how you didn't bite your tongue.
I'm learning very fast.
Well, Dr. Timi Oyebode is passionate about family, that we must know. Young persons as well, healing and restoration from trauma, and her focus is on mental health, emotional wellness, self-discovery, trauma, abuse, addiction, and sex recovery therapy.
She's the Vice President, African Network of Professional Counselors, Vice Chairman, Lagos Chapter of CASON, that is the Counseling Association of Nigeria, and a lot more. We are so pleased to be able to drag her out of her very busy schedule, despite the fact that she actually has an event going on right now, but she had to put that on hold to be able to be with us in the studio. We are indebted to you. Good morning.
So someone says Timi, I say Timi, which is the correct one?
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes.
Both are correct, actually. Timi. Okay. Either way, I would respond.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right.
So, like I say, let's dive into it.
Dive in.
Okay, so I'll dive in first. Now, and I want you, Dr. Oyebode, to please set the table for our session today. Tell us, what is anger? Is it an action or is it a reaction?
All right. Oh, interesting conversation, really. Anger. Anger indeed is an emotion, much more a reaction than an action. But we would see the action. Okay. So when we say a reaction, we're saying something, an action that comes with a response. So it says both. It is an action. It is as well a reaction, because it's majorly an emotions or an emotional reaction.
Okay.
That tells us something is going on in the mind. And of course, there are basic, when we talk about anger in that context, it's also important to know that there are basic reactions that anger plays out with, which includes when we talk about, maybe passive anger, or we talk about assertive anger, or we talk about, how am I displaying this? What's playing out? Okay, so am I reacting, or am I actually acting out a planned thought, a planned response? So those are key things that then determines what anger is for us.
So it can be deliberate and it can be spontaneous.
Exactly.
All of that put together.
Exactly.
Wow.
Emotions are actually spontaneous reactions or spontaneous responses to whatever is going on in our mind per time. And so anger is just one of such emotions that could either be spontaneous, mostly spontaneous, but it becomes deliberate when you have mastered what we call EQ, that's emotional intelligence, to the point where you could have a good sense of your triggers or what's likely to make you angry, and then you are in control. You become deliberate, and that's where we talk about as assertive anger. Assertive anger, in that context, you are deliberately getting angry, and then using that to address an issue, and not just an emotional reactions that you are not in control of.
All right, so having heard that much, my next question is, where does the feeling of anger start? Is it from the head or the heart? Okay, interesting actually, because usually sometimes I ask people, where do they think the mind is? Is the mind in the head or
in the heart?
In the heart. And definitely we still get that response. Okay, a lot of people will go for either head or heart and all. But you see, when we talk about the mind space is not something tangible. It's not something we can hold on to, and we know a lot goes on in the mind. However, when we pick anger specifically, there is a part of the brain. Now, anger has a lot to do when it comes to the brain reactions and how it is playing out in our head.
In our
head. Yes. Exactly. So that being put out is to say then, if we understand what goes on in our brain, if we understand what goes on with our body and how it responds to what is going on in our head, then we would understand that it's more from the head.
Wow.
But when I say I love you,
we think it. Yeah, emotional
but when
matters.
I say I feel you.
Okay, because Scientists make us to understand that there is the amygdala, that's a part of the brain that actually defines our responses to pressure, to fear, to hunger, and all of that. And then we have also the prefrontal, the cortex part of the brain also, that determines our responses to what goes on around us. So we can't talk about anger without talking about the brain. And the brain is physical. The brain is located in our head.
But you see, the feeling of anger, it's like it's something we carry around with us everywhere we go, just waiting to use it. So what really ignites? What ignites anger?
When we say ignite sounds like something sudden, something sparked.
Like you like
something.
Yes.
Reality is that anger is natural to every one of us.
So it's there.
It's there. It's a natural response to things that we are displeased with or that puts us in a state of fear. Anything that makes us uncomfortable can trigger or could ignite, if I would use the word, anger. So it's more or less like something that is part of us as humans. We're naturally prone to respond to anything that we're displeased with. And to think of it, when we talk about that ignite, there's a perception that, there's a particular gender that is more in tune or prone to, get that sparked.
Tell me that gender.
There is a belief. It's not a fact, is it?
It's not a fact. However, there is also a misconception somewhere there. Let me give it this way. So there's a myth out there, there's a belief out there that women are more emotional and men are more logical. But research had proved otherwise. Research says, and when we talk emotions, we're talking about, anger is one of it, emotional. Anger is one of the emotions that should come out of this. And so over the years, people had this perception that women are more emotional and men are more logical. But research has proven that wrong. Proven otherwise, that men are more emotional and women are more logical. Now, why would that also
that's what
play
research
out?
says.
Yes, please. Okay. And why would that even play out? Because we're talking about anger and emotions. Now, there is the testosterone, which is the hormone, which is more the male hormone.
Yes.
And now, naturally, and that's actually the hormone that comes to play when you're talking about anger. And it's natural. God made us that way. It's put in us. And which is why you would see that when it comes to protecting or fighting territories, you need anger. And that when we start talking about the positive side of anger, you get that. Why anger comes in. Because you can't fight for your territory if you don't get angry.
Wow. Okay.
So men could easily put up that emotion, whip up that emotion, take charge, if they learn to use it positively.
Okay. Learning to use it positively. So sometimes the feeling of anger causes people to become irrational. And we're looking at anger management. So how can this feeling be suppressed? Can it, and how can it, if it can?
The word suppress, it's not so healthy.
Okay.
When we suppress any of our emotions, we actually are just reserved it for the day it's going to pop up right in our face.
Bottling it up.
Exactly. So rather than suppress, what would be better of is how to understand the emotions and your reactions, and how then to plan out your response ahead so that you're not suppressing it, but you're actually responding appropriately as you would want to respond.
Okay.
I'm quickly thinking in my head, is there a relationship between anger, violence, rage? We come up with all of these words interchangeably. Is there some?
Okay. There is a relationship, definitely. But they are all distinct words with different meanings, actually. So when we say, violence, of course, like I said earlier, there are some reactions that you need anger to propel. As in,
does one lead to the other?
Exactly. So if there is no anger, there might be no violence. Okay, and if anger is properly managed, there might be no need for rage. Rage is an art of, when it comes to temper or throwing a tantrum, now you're hitting things, you're banging tables, you're breaking stuff. That is another level. That is now no longer you just being angry. You are now exhibiting rage. And if it is violence, you are actually attacking another person with the state of mind you are in as at that time. So they are all interrelated, but they can actually also stand individually. Depends on the context.
The context. Yeah. Now, you've talked about the mind. You've said something about the mind space. Now, let's go into the body.
Okay.
All right? Because I don't think we can talk about anger without touching on cortisol, adrenaline, and all those things that chemical things. Can you educate us a bit about those things? Okay,
this is how it works out. Like I said earlier, there's a part of our brain that actually determines and triggers this. So that I won't come up with so much big jargon.
Technicals. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's good that the audience just simply understand that there is an hormone that runs through our body, okay, that defines or determines the level of that hormone pumped per time would determine what your most likely response would be. Now, these hormones could be at a state of rest, as in a bit calm, or they could be pumping faster than the regular. Depends on what is happening to you. And this is where stress comes in a whole lot to determine your response. So if you have this high level of cortisol, or you have some of this testosterone running faster in your being, you are likely to be more aggressive, more dramatic in the expression of your anger.
Which takes me back to the question that says, what ignites? Right? You've talked about the hormones and all those things that are down there. Let's imagine that that's like fuel or petrol. And then something triggers it. That's what ignites it.
Yes.
So are you saying that they both work together?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. They all, yes. And that is why understanding this dynamics or this triangle would be very good for every one of us to be able to control our anger.
Yeah.
Being able to understand that your natural disposition, who you are, okay, your personality type, your engagement level also has a place to play in your display of anger. That's why, remember I said earlier, we have some passive aggression, passive anger. Some people do get angry, but
hold it down.
They're holding it on. It's not that they're in control.
That's me.
They're not in control, but they're just holding it.
Yeah.
Okay? Some other people might not be. So we could have phlegmatics more in that space. Hold it. Hold it. We could have melancholies more in that space. Hold it. And then you could have a choleric who is more outright with their anger. I'm displeased with you. I'm angry with you. And then they give it to you straight up. Okay? So your personality type has a whole lot to do with how you express your anger. That's one. Another one is your background.
Yeah.
Okay? Where you're coming from. If you're coming from a background where anger is freely displayed, you might find yourself
easily,
just
you think it's normal, it's natural.
Exactly.
It's a family pattern.
Exactly. Or you grew up in some neighborhoods where it's everyday thing.
Yeah.
That's how to communicate.
You live in a place like Lagos where on the streets, ooh,
so background environment could also add to that.
Yeah.
Of course, also is what we call childhood traumas. All right, particularly childhood traumas that has to do with a sense of betrayal or abandonment. When someone has a huge sense of people are not trustworthy, people are wicked, people want to take advantage of me. That's how it has always been over the years.
Yeah.
Such a person would be short fused, as in
I like that word, short fused.
Yeah.
So every other thing.
Threshold
we're all fitted with our different
endurance and
types.
Would be
very low.
reduced, yes. And of course, maybe the last one that is maybe more common that I would want to mentioned quickly, although there are several other things that could ignite it, that could be hid. Okay, stress.
Okay, stress. So let's get to the real reason we are here. We have established what anger is and how it comes about. How do we identify that the anger is not, that the kind of anger we feel is not that which is needed for the society to develop, for relationship to blossom and all of that, especially from the family level?
Okay, like I said, being able to understand what kind of anger you're displaying per time is key. And I said earlier that assertive anger is the best ideal. Okay, when your anger destroys, when your anger, after you're done exhibiting the anger, you're not even feeling good with yourself, then you know something is wrong. It's
so
not
what
healthy.
can one do? How do we manage anger?
Fantastic. First of all, be aware. Be aware of what triggers your anger. So that takes us into the place of self-management first. What are your understanding of the various emotions? You know, one big part of it is you are not even, it's the fact that many do not even have the right words to describe how they are feeling. And so they are trying to express themselves. They are raising their voice and someone is saying, you're getting angry. And no, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. And that's even difficult to understand or to express. So it's key that being aware includes you being aware of the language used to express your emotions. Are you upset? Are you displeased? Are you hungry? You must be able to find the right word to express how you feel. Added to that also is that you also must have what we call your is it your coolant now, or your what you used to tell yourself, calm down baby, calm down baby. Okay. You know, I'm still in control. Because once you have a sense of loss of control or powerlessness, you are likely to erupt. You're likely to lose totally.
And so, those coolants are individualistic. You can develop it with
every one of us has to have what your own would be. For some people, when they are in the process, when they're in therapy, we encourage that they have someone like an accountability partner who notifies you, who tells you, or gives you a sign language or signal to you, like you're going overboard. You know, calm down, calm down. Some people, water. I always recommend water is a beautiful therapeutic measure to control your hunger. If you can go around with a bottle of water in your bag in your car, you will be amazed how much you begin to have more control over your emotions.
Okay, quickly
final
now, final one. This morning I don't know if it was, I was upset, I was displeased, and I was angry all at the same time.
Okay.
Because the whole of the island, you know, was blocked. I tried to use some of the side roads to come out, and then this gentleman comes and he locks the gate to the street.
He's angry at something.
He locks the gate to the street and he says, I'm the chairman of this. So all of you have to go back. I was angry. Now, if you drive around Lagos, you'll see so many people like me, you know, who will be angry about, we're always angry at each other. Are we saying that we are angry people?
I would rather say that we are a people without a sense of control of our emotions. Many are lacking with emotional intelligence. Okay, and that is why we are where we are actually. Now, we need to understand, just like the scenario you painted of what happened this morning, if you allow the man who had blocked you off is actually trying to control you at that moment. Now, that person had stepped in you, had done something, and he expects a reaction. The reaction expected is a display of anger. Okay?
And he got it.
And he got it. So at that moment, it's calling the shots. At that moment, it controls you. So once we have good understanding of that, and then we know that, okay, so someone just said something negative, that person expects something from me, that means if I respond otherwise or in another way or contrary, I would be in control rather than give the control to the person. So it's key that we are in that space where you are more in control especially when you're dealing with external people. I once had a client who was referred from his workplace because he had hit another staff. Okay, he was a senior officer, and then one of his subordinates had said something rude to him, and
He flipped.
yes, and not just flipped,
Yeah.
hit this guy, and then of course went into punching. He was senior to this guy.
Wow.
And you know, he was referred in for anger management therapy, which is one of our courses, and then had to begin to explore and began to find out his background, had to find out how to manage these emotions, and then giving power back to him.
Now,
Power
you know what?
back
You
to
know
the
what?
individual.
So just
Because
so
so
that-
many things have been thrown up this
Yeah.
morning. And
Ju-
you know, when we're looking at this topic, we didn't know it was going to go to all of the directions it went.
Well, just so that the producer doesn't flip, you know, this morning, they've been screaming in my ears that
Time to go.
time to go, time to go. But I must really say that, you
Thank
know,
you.
we thoroughly enjoyed this
Yes.
session.
Yes, yes.
And I hope that very soon again, we'll bring you back and let's talk more about anger management.
Yeah.
Thank
My
you ever so
pleasure.
much, Dr.
My
Oyebode.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank
And I'm
you.
also very pleased that you say there's therapy. You know, it means that a lot of people identify that they're in that place and they come for help.
They
and
should
they
come
do
for
get help.
yes.
And get back on their feet.
Yes,
That's excellent.
we all
news.
need that help and
Thank you.
support.
We all
Thank
do.
you. Thank you.
so much.
And I wish you the best, you know, with your event today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Well, I'm so certain that the conversation has hit home and offered answers to many of our questions relating to anger and management. Once again, thank you so much, Doctor.
And that was really helpful. We salute and appreciate you once again. And you are still watching your Family Focus program today with John and Helen. Next is a quick stopover at the gym with our Keep Fit coach, Dolly Phillips.
Yeah, Dolly.
And after that,
Immediately after that, we'll be joined with by the real estate property magnates, M.I. Okoro and Associates. They'll bring us closer to achieving our dream of owning our own homes or home or homes. But right now, it's time to keep fit. One technique of keeping anger at bay, you'll say. Over to you, Dolly.